Well, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and call the January board meeting of the Burleigh County Water Resource District to order. Wendy, call roll call, please.
Manager Smith.
Here.
Manager Mitchell.
Here.
Manager Reed.
Here.
Manager Jones.
Here.
Chairman Landenberger.
Here, we have a quorum, so we can continue. First up, I'd just like to introduce our newest board member this morning, Mr. Chuck Mitchell. Chuck will be starting with us today. As you know, Randy came off the board last month, so he's on for a 3-year term. Chuck, anything you want to say this morning? Or?
I was born and raised in Mandan, currently live in Bismarck right now for the last probably 20 plus years, and am employed with North Dakota Rural Water Systems, and that's been almost 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to have you, Chuck.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 2 this morning, the reorg for our board. First item up is the election of officers. So we do have 3 officers that we will need to elect this morning for the year, for the 1-year term. The chairman, the vice chairman, and the secretary treasurer. So we'll start with the chairman this morning. I will open up the floor for any nominations. So at this point, we'll see if there's any nominations for chairman of the board for this
Mr. Chairman, I'll
year.
nominate James Landenberger for
And
chairman.
I would second.
Okay. We have a nomination for James Landenberger for chairman. Are there any other further nominations for chairman? Any other further nominations? Asking a third time, any nominations for chairman? Hearing none. Is there a motion to cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot for James Landenberger for the
So
chairman?
moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to cast a unanimous ballot for James Landenberger for chairman. Okay, Wendy, take roll call vote, please, on that.
Manager Smith.
Yes.
Manager Mitchell.
Yes.
Manager Reed.
Yes.
Manager Jones.
Yes.
Manager Landenberger.
Abstain. Okay, we have 4 yeses, so that passes. So I will be the chairman. Thank you very much. Okay, we can move on to the vice chairman this morning. Open the nominations for vice chairman.
I would nominate Roger as vice chairman of the Burleigh County Water Resource District.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion for Roger Smith for vice chairman. And a second, are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Any further nominations? Third time, any nominations for vice chairman? Hearing none, is there a motion to cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Roger Smith for vice chairman?
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Reap for moving forward Roger Smith as the nominated vice chairman. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith.
Abstain.
Manager Mitchell.
Yes.
Manager Reed.
Yes.
Manager Jones.
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. Roger be voted as vice chairman. Okay, we can move on to the secretary treasurer. I will open the floor for nominations for secretary treasurer.
I'll nominate Dennis Reap.
I will second.
Okay, and motion is second for nominate Dennis Reap as secretary treasurer. Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations for secretary treasurer? One last time, any nominations for secretary treasurer? Hearing none, is there a motion to cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Dennis Reap for secretary treasurer?
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to cast a unanimous ballot for Dennis Reap for secretary treasurer. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith.
Yes.
Manager Mitchell.
Yes.
Manager Reed.
Abstain.
Manager Jones.
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes. Motion passes. Dennis Reap is elected the secretary treasurer. Okay, that is it. We'll cease the election of our officers. Myself, James Landenberger as chairman, Manager Smith as the vice chairman, and Manager Reap as the secretary treasurer for 2025. All right. Thank you for that. We can move on to the next item, which is review and approval of the 2025 member portfolios for the year. So as you know, with Randy coming off the board and Chuck being added. I did visit with Chuck a little bit before the meeting to see if he'd be interested in a few of these items. Of course, the Hay Creek watershed, Chuck, I think we agreed with that one, as you'd be the lead. We could certainly keep Dennis as the alternate. Kathleen, you're good with Burnt Creek?
Correct.
Okay, and Dennis is alternate. McDowell Dam, I think we'll have Kathleen. You've agreed to
Correct.
take on McDowell Dam as the lead for this year. And then we'll have Chuck as the alternate, but I'll also be there for assisting as well. Missouri River Joint Board, Roger, you're good with that, keeping that one for this year?
I am.
Okay. Dennis, and I also serve as alternate, and Kathleen, you're there quite often too, so.
Yes.
Apple Creek, Roger,
I'm
good
good.
with that one? Okay, and I'll stay as the alternate. Then landowner complaints, we got Kathleen leading that. Kathleen, you're comfortable with that one? Good.
Yes.
And then you got Roger and Chuck as alternates. Department of Water Resources, that makes sense, Dennis, if you're good with that one. Okay. Roger, you're as alternate. The MPO for Bismarck Mandan, Chuck, I think we talked about that one. You taking that one on? And then Roger is alternate. I'll keep Fox Island and Missouri River as leads, and Dennis can be alternate there. You guys are good with that? Okay. Sibley Island, there's not much going on there anymore, but we can keep Dennis as lead, that makes sense. Okay. And we got Roger as alternate there. Water users and the Water Resource Board of Directors, I think it makes sense. Dennis is currently a board member, so be the lead on that one as well. And then for irrigation and rural water, I talked to Chuck, and he was comfortable leading those two as well. Place of Randy and then Kathleen. It makes sense since Chuck used to work for North Dakota, or still is, but you done at the end of the month, Chuck? Is that what you're saying? Okay. So I'll have Chuck as the lead on irrigation and rural water. We'll keep Roger and myself as alternates. Kathleen, unless you want to be an alternate on rural water, I can be alternate. It's up to you.
Doesn't matter.
Keep it. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Roger Ward, Ash Cooley, you good with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, being secretary treasurer, the budget for Dennis makes sense. And the chairman as alternate. Brookfield, Kathleen, you're good with that one?
Yes.
Okay. And Chuck, we got you as alternate on that one.
Yep.
And then Country Creek, third, Roger. You good with that one, Roger?
I think so.
Okay. Kathleen is alternate. Anybody else have any thoughts or suggestions on these this morning, Kathleen?
Just one thing. Do we have contact numbers for like Brookfield Estates and Ford Nash Cooley? Or anybody?
Well, there's no formal
Right.
assessment district. The Warden Ash Cooley is basically the city of Bismarck.
Okay.
Brookfield Estates would be Chuck Bosch. He's just kind of the local contact landowner out there.
Thank you.
Good question, though.
But not much happens with those, right? I mean,
The only thing, well, the Warden Ash Cooley is primarily city of Bismarck master planning stuff, so that's just background information. Brookfield Estates is, O&M in the spring, and that's basically coordinated through the highway department for snow removal, so.
That's the tree issue, isn't
No, that's just the floodway channel that
Oh,
fills
yeah,
with
yeah,
snow
yeah.
that needs to be
You're right.
blown out
Yeah.
periodically depending upon status.
If there is any sort of public meetings that, usually Michael attends with those as well, Roger, so
it? Yeah.
I have to explain to Chuck, we don't just send our board managers there without another
Thank you.
engineer. Yeah, it helps, having that background and information, so. Yeah, usually it's not an issue until maybe there's some flooding or something of that nature, or a drainage
Well,
issue.
a number of years ago, we had quite an issue with Brookfield Estates.
Yeah, there were a couple things out there relative to the additional special assessments because the special assessment district fund had been reduced over time because of use.
Okay.
So you special assessed, I think, last year and probably shouldn't have to for another couple of years.
Mr. Chairman, should we add Folk Island?
I suppose we should, yeah, that's a great, yeah. Kathleen, are you interested in leading Old Island?
What are you gonna pay me for mileage and frustration? All right. Certainly, I will take that.
Okay.
And are you gonna be my backup on that?
I can be, yes.
Yes.
So we've got myself, or Kathleen as lead and myself as alternate.
Got it.
Good catch. Anything else this morning regarding the portfolios or? Wendy, you got all those changes that we kind of walked through? Okay, perfect. All right, if there's no other, we can entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Okay, good.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to approve the amended portfolio list for 2025. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nay? Opposed? No. Ayes have it. Motion passes and the portfolios for 2025 is approved as amended. Any other thoughts on that? Wendy, this morning, you got that?
I got it.
Okay. All right, we can move on to item 3 this morning, the reappointment of our administrative secretary, our engineer, and our legal counsel. We should probably do separate motions, I think, for all 3 this morning. So currently, we have our 3 that are currently here with us this morning. So if anybody's got any thoughts this morning, or we can entertain some motions to approve for 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint as our administrative secretary Frontier Professional Services Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve or to reappoint Frontier Professional Services as our administrative secretary for 2025. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reed,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, moving on to our engineer, currently Houston Engineering.
I make a motion that we reappoint Houston Engineering as our engineer.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Manager Smith and a second by Manager Jones to reappoint Houston Engineering as the engineer for our board for 2025. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reed,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. We'll reappoint Houston as our engineer for 2025. And the last one is for our legal counsel, Dave Bliss.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion that we accept the bid from Bliss Law Firm LLC as our counsel for
Okay.
the year of 25.
I'll second.
You got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to reappoint Dave Bliss as our legal counsel for the board for 2025. We need to take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reed,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. We'll reappoint Dave Bliss as our legal counsel. Okay, any other thoughts this morning on those items? If not, thank you. We can then move on to item 4, approval of last month's meeting minutes.
I move to approve, Mr. Chairman, as printed.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Reap to approve last month's meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Oppose? Ayes have it, minutes are approved. Moving on to amendments and approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda this morning? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we accept the minutes, the agenda.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Manager Smith, a second by Manager Jones to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Oppose? Ayes have it, agenda is approved. Okay, moving on to item 6, members, comments from members of the public not associated with the project this morning, not seeing any. And we can move on to McDowell Dam this morning. Michael, any updates regarding the supplemental water supply this morning?
Yeah, James, you and I had a discussion. We've done I'm gonna start with the simulation. We've done some updates on the simulation. I'm in the process of preparing the memorandum. We do have the appraisals completed. Talking about having an executive session to discuss those appraisals and the process where the board wants to go. I think it's important, given Manager Benniger's point about the reassessment of a 26-year period of record versus a 56-year period of record. I want to complete that memorandum and have that memorandum for the board to review that process and what that means for the board's decision.
Okay.
So as soon as I get that completed, we work with you to schedule that executive session.
Okay.
And
Any
as far
updates?
as-
Yeah, the bank
yeah.
stabilization?
Bank stabilization, basically, over the holidays, not a lot got done, but we're ready to wrap that up and put it out on the streets for quotes. It is under the $100,000 limit, so you can go to individual quotes. You don't have to advertise if you don't want to, so
Okay.
that'll be a discussion once the plans are actually completed, which I'm projecting they'll be ready at your next meeting for that. Emergency action plan, that was sent out. There was a couple updates. I did get comments back from one of the entities or individuals that we named for the DWR no longer works there. Change in staff.
Okay.
So I'll be updating that in the plan. Won't be resending it out because it's just a single contact of many.
Yeah.
But we'll mark it so that it's recorded for next time.
Yep. It's a state
Okay.
agency, so it would.
Yep. And Karen Goff's comment was, you can just remove him from the list. So it wasn't a critical element as far as her concern was.
Okay. Dave, anything this morning? Yeah, Dave does have something for the board this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to briefly go over the plans that were approved in the budget for 2025 and just get the board's blessing to move forward with what we had agreed upon with the budget being approved. If you recall, we had recommended three major projects, or not major, one major project and two minor things, I guess. And those three elements were the addition of another layer of sand to the beach area, and I believe we had planned 3 inches. I'm trying to recall last year we did 3 inches, and I think the recommendation was to do another 3 this year. So there was that. 2 additional paddle boats were in the budget. And then the third one, which was what I'd call a major project and improvement for McDowell Dam, is the addition of a new playground up on the north end of the formal park area. Excuse me. And with board's approval, I'll get the ball rolling on all 3 of those so that we're ready to go during the construction season.
Yeah. Any consensus on that? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then the final thing is, we've talked about this capital improvement plan, and we're getting into it. And last year we made some improvements, and this year we're planning those improvements. I'd like to have a formalized capital improvement plan. My plan is to bring before the board a year-by-year plan and get that approved, so we have some marching orders as we move forward through the years, and we kind of know what's coming up instead of a last-minute thing. Not that we do it last minute, but so we have a clear.
David, how many years are you talking about?
It's a good question. Haven't completely gone through that yet.
10 years?
Off the top of my head, it's probably a 10-year plan. There's some larger elements in there, as we've discussed. The north bathroom, nothing meets code in there, and we know that we need to probably replace the entire thing to expand it and meet accessibility codes. So that's one of the, as we talked, that's one of the 3 legs on the stool is going through and completing everything that was in that accessibility audit and the action plan that we have created to move forward and take care of all those issues that were identified. The second was equipment, and the third was improvements to the park. So those are the 3 main elements that we want to include in that capital improvement plan, and break pieces off year by year that make sense, that we can fit in a budget that's realistic for the Water Resource District and for the board, and keep making progress.
And when do you anticipate the plan to be ready for the board to look at?
I would like to do that in the next few months so that we can have something for the 26 budget. So I'd like to have that capital improvement plan done so that when I come to you for the improvements for 26, they're already well thought out and accounted for, and we can move forward from there.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
We usually start those conversations even like, I think if I could May and June, don't we, for you guys for
We start them much earlier at the Park
Yeah.
District. In fact, I've already got people looking at items for 26, just because we like to
Get
vet
ahead
things
of it.
out, vet things out and get decent estimates. It's hard to predict what costs are gonna be a year and a half from now, but we try to look at things, and then we also get we get a large list of things. We've got a big area to cover, and we start early.
No.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, generally, we start in May, June.
If we are on top of it, we should be starting in May.
Yeah.
You know, so we gotta submit in June, and so,
That's right.
it's nice to have them kind of solidified in May, so.
Yeah.
And from the Park District standpoint, my preliminary budget has to be due to our board, which would include me trying to make improvements for the McDowell Dam area. I have to submit my stuff by May. So I'm pretty much solidified in May. So I'll be having conversations with Manager Jones. Excuse me, wanted to say Commissioner Jones.
No.
Old habits. So we'll be having conversations earlier, just to kind of say, where are we at, and these are some of the things that we're recommending. So,
Okay. Give me a call.
yep, I will.
Okay. Any other questions for Dave this morning? Any other major equipment you looking at for mowers, things of that nature in 2025?
No,
No,
we're
good
in
there,
pretty good
pretty
shape
solid
as
there.
far as equipment is concerned.
Good.
I think if I'm to remember our equipment in the capital improvement plan, there's some minor things down the road, but
Okay.
there's nothing imminent. I mean, the last couple of years, we've gotten a couple of mowers, we
Right.
got that pickup. I think we're in pretty good shape right
Okay.
now.
Good.
So I'd imagine in that capital improvement plan, there may be something with some docks or something like that in the future.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Thank you.
I was curious too, if you guys had any, actual numbers of, people that visited the park?
I actually just updated, I need to do a better job with this board. Honestly, I apologize for that. Getting you some monthly updates on quantities. We were around, I want to say about 2,500 vehicles
Okay.
for December. And then the trail counter, maybe around 400,
Okay.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
So do you guys do like an annual total? Like for?
We do, and I
Okay.
will get that to you.
Yeah,
I
great.
apologize
Then
for
we can
that.
Okay.
I've got to tally those up here we do an annual report in the Park District, and I'll run through that, and I'll make sure I send it off to you.
Yeah.
Thank
perfect.
you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Only other item in our packet on page 12 was Dave Bliss did put together a kind of memorandum for us that kind of walks us through, eminent domain process and things of that nature. So if just for your review and information purposes, so. And it's privileged and confidential too as well, so. Okay. Anything else, McDowell Dam? Any questions, thoughts? Dave, Michael?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if the board chooses to have an executive session, it may want to talk about the time and place and set that up to discuss the next steps here in this negotiation.
Yeah. So I know Michael and I visited a little bit yesterday. We were thinking maybe at next month's meeting, I think that gives him.
Yeah, at least a month to finish up the memorandum.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about, Mr. Chairman, through the whole process of what Dave is presenting as well, NRCS will be transferring their authority over the project at some point down the road. So it may even be prudent to have a special meeting just on McDowell Dam, given the context of all the pieces. Because at some point in time, this board will have to take action to, okay, NRCS is handing it over, the board will need to take formal action to basically accept and continue what you're doing.
Okay.
I'll work with you and Dave on some of those things for scheduling something like that. You could do it at your next meeting, it'd be a long meeting potentially, but
Potentially.
either
We did
way.
that before where we had the executive sessions.
Okay, but we'll work together on that to get
Is everybody going to
together.
be here at next month's meeting?
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay, we'll target that.
talk and let the board know.
okay.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Okay. We're done with McDowell Dam. We can move on to item 8 this morning, financial reports. Manager Reap.
Mr. Chairman, board members, on page 12 is the balance sheet. I'll just go through some of the activities and details of December. We started out balance and checking of $785,374.70. We paid bills in the amount of $73,078.85. We did repurchase a CD, as discussed previously, in the amount of $310,164.33. We had income in the December in the amount of $467,903.62, which included real estate tax of about $1,800, state aid of about $6,000, very small amount of interest on our checking account, savings account. But a big one was reimbursements through the Hogue Island project of $460,000 and some little bit less than $460,000 after a transaction fee of $15, and then some O&M fund for Burnt Creek.
Okay.
So ending balance in checking of $1,180,199.47. Bravera Wealth, which we have slightly over $1,035,295 in that account. Reserve fund balance is $700,373.22. I move for approval of the balance sheet as presented on pages 19 and 20.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve this month's balance sheet. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reap,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, board members, similarly on pages 20 and 21 and 22, profit and loss statements and our budget accounting through 2024 are presented. I'd move for approval.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve this month's profit and loss statement. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reap,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. Profit and loss is accepted.
Mr. Chairman, just one more thing, it's not on the agenda, but just some discussion points. And we have designated reserve funds, as you'll see on the balance sheet, and some of those have been there for quite some time. I don't know that some of them will be ultimately utilized, and so I guess I would, just the thought process of reappropriating some of those funds into other ones, and the discussion on capital improvements at McDowell Dam kind of led to that thought process that right now we have $60,000 set aside for capital improvements in that designated reserve fund. There's some other projects that we definitely could roll some of that money into those. And so just, I don't know if there's any immediate action. I think Wendy can just do it. It's more of a paper exercise. But if the board members want to give it some thought over the next month, we could, do that in the next month or so.
Okay.
The other item that I just talking about with Wendy beforehand, we did get that bond sale for Hogue Island. I think it'd be appropriate to set up a separate special assessment district fund for Hogue Island and a O&M fund for Hogue Island as well, so it'll show up on our balance sheet.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
And so with that, I think Wendy can just do that if there's consensus among the board members.
Good. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then with the budget now, Wendy, for 2025, do we have to adjust, due to the conversations last month with Jerry Woodcox regarding what they approved? That number changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because basically it's matching what we were given in 2024. So we'll just have to adjust that budget for this year. So at some point, maybe yourself, Dennis, and I, maybe just sit down and we kind of look at that and just see how the numbers
We
shake
should
out.
do that anyways and go through that.
Yep. So we'll kind of maybe
He was
do this
just
all
talking
as
about
one
it.
exercise.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was, I think it's like $60,000-$70,000 less than
66 or
That
something.
is what we anticipated,
Yep.
yeah.
69,000. Yep. Okay. Okay, we can do that. All right. Anything else this morning? Financial reports. If not, we can move on to drainage permits and complaints. Manager Jones, The only thing we have on here is the Randy Cook.
And
Michael
I
might have an
believe,
update.
Yeah.
didn't the letter go to Mr. Cook?
Mr. Cook has a copy of the memorandum that we prepared.
Okay.
I've been conversing back and forth via email with Michael Gurr with the city and with the holidays and stuff. And even though the city probably can't do anything relative to that, I think it's prudent to have a discussion with them relative to that type of activity and where it's at. So Mike said he was willing to meet after the holidays, so we'll try and set something up.
Okay.
But it'll be probably Manager Jones, myself, and Casey, along with the city. And I don't think it's gonna be a long meeting, because I think we know the answers. The scenario is it puts Mr. Cook in a position to where he needs to, where does he go with it?
Right, so what are the next steps?
Yeah.
Okay, next, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay, if nothing else, we can move on to projects this morning. Hogue Island, basically, the bonds were sold. Michael, looks like the record drawings are completed and being transmitted.
Yeah, I haven't done the actual transmittal yet, but the record drawings are done.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, I know we talked about revising some of the easement documents.
Yeah, that's just kind of an ongoing effort. Soon as we get past some of the other
Okay.
demands, we can do some of that. It's not crucial because you have the easements there already.
Yeah.
It's just the formality of
Future documentation.
modifying those and documenting. And I want to visit with Dave on what the new language should be, because obviously the language in the current easements is 1970s vintage. So there's probably a need to refresh that. And it may be prudent just to create a template that the district accepts, and then each one would have its individual description and exhibit.
Okay, that's something, do you want Dave to look at too?
Yeah, I'll get back together with Dave to put that together.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Any questions on Hogue Island this morning? Kathleen, anything else? Good. Apple Creek slide. Any updates this morning on that one?
As far as I know, the pictures are still being taken, so that's still an ongoing record. I have talked to Mary Sanger relative to the invoice. I think they're, James and Dennis are familiar with that. She's okay with that process of invoicing the county for their share and then moving it forward. You do have an invoice in your packet today that splits it 50-50, but the purpose of, for Mary's standpoint, she wants her share invoiced and then it would come to the board. She already said she filed that to do her own paperwork for that. We'll just formalize that letter.
Okay.
DES has got the copy of the application. They've been looking through it. They did call Mary Sanger and ask a couple of questions. So we're hoping within the next couple of weeks we'll have an answer as far as DES goes. And then if we have to do any revisions, we'll do the revisions and then they will forward it up to FEMA for actual consideration.
Okay.
On the DWR web grant application, I'll apologize, I did not get to that. The holidays and a few things just kind of jumped up on us, so that was more an eligibility question.
Right.
But we will get that out and to them shortly. But I missed that timeline, so.
Okay. Anything else on Apple Creek? Any questions for Michael? Roger?
No.
So at this point, Casey, is that the county that's doing the drone photos? I don't know. Just kind of curious if that's something you guys are going to continue to do this winter or wait till spring now, or? Morning, Casey.
Morning, Casey Ingram, Senior Assistant County Engineer, I think is my actual title, with the Burleigh County Highway Department. Yeah, Greg's been going out, doing the drone flights. We're just being selective on some of the temperatures, because the negatives and the drone don't like each other a whole lot. But so just being selective with that, still do the same route that we have, so we can still see. Sometimes with the snow, it's just hard to tell what you're getting. So there's sometimes, once you get out there, it's kind of what's the actual value of it, looking at it. But yeah, we still plan on doing that to keep that monitored. There's another slide to the north that we've been keeping an eye on for 4 years now. Then the River Road slide. So there's a few different areas we look at.
How often you guys going out there to drone? Is it?
Generally, it's once a month,
Okay.
on there, because you can actually see if there's a little bit of change. If you do it every 2 weeks,
Not much.
The photos are so close, it's just hard to
Yeah.
really tell a difference.
And I imagine as we get towards spring, that's something we'll want to closely monitor in March, April kind of time frame.
Yep, and some of it'll depend on how much snow, what's the melt like, everything. We might have to just do it more frequently at that point, so it's like anything, you just play it by ear a little
Yep.
bit in that time of year. And a good thing is the residents that live down there are very familiar with our phone number, they're not scared to call us, which is good, so if something happens, we can get down there right away, so.
Yep,
Yep.
that's good. Okay, well, we appreciate the help, Casey. in that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we can move on to other old business this morning. First item there, on item 12, would be the Burleigh County, the CRS.
Yeah, we're kind of proceeding
Mitch is
through
here.
that process. We had a meeting with Mitch and myself and Nick and Tom Burney relative to the Apple Creek violation scenario, and Mitch is working on things for that. The CRS side of the equation, or the community action visit got pushed off a little bit as they document the issues relative to the Apple Creek scenario. And then we'll step back into the application process and finish things up now that we know the status of where that's going. So just FYI, from the invoice perspective, we do have the out of scope with the CAV, and that's expressed in there, but the actual budget for the CRS program we're on budget right now,
Okay.
based on our expectations, so.
Thanks, Michael.
Yep.
So we talked about that letter going out to Mary. I missed that, but so I just had a couple edits. I
I
sent off.
caught the edits, and Mary had an edit too, so
Okay.
I'm gonna formalize that and I'll send that out today.
Okay.
Also, I wanna make sure that we get Chuck's name on the bottom of the new letterhead. So, one more process, that's why I didn't send him yet, so. I sent it to Mary as a draft so that she could comment on and make sure that the process was okay with her, so, but she is.
Okay, very good. Any questions on that? If not, we can move on to Missouri River Joint Board. Any updates this morning, Roger?
Well, briefly, had our December meeting shortly after our meeting last month, and the final version of the joint powers agreement was signed by the county's representatives. I signed for Burleigh County. I don't know who all the counties are right now that are a member of the joint board. I suspect I'll be getting that information, but election of officers, and that's about it.
Okay.
Plus, I think you were in there. I don't
Yep.
know if you
Yeah, I was there
can add
too.
anything.
Kathleen was there.
Yeah.
No, it was a good meeting.
It was a very good meeting.
Yeah.
Did they, because I don't get the minutes, did they break EAE out of the budget on the joint board? There was discussion, but I don't know what transpired.
I don't know that, I think that was the intent, was to break it out,
Mhm.
but whether they've physically done that yet or not, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Well, EAE is gonna make a big difference once it comes out of that budget.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big chunk. of the budget.
Big chunk,
Yeah.
big
Right.
chunk.
And then, so has the invites gone out to these other counties then? Is that now this joint powers
Yeah,
agreement is?
through Greg Langwood has sent
Okay.
invitations out to all the different counties, so I imagine there's still some responding, I guess,
Yep.
as they have their meetings.
Sure. And the rest of this year.
Voting on whether or not to be part of the joint board.
There was one, if not, well, one for sure, who's expressed, Stark County has
Oh, yeah,
expressed an
they were
interest to
actually at the
join.
meeting.
They were at the meeting.
Yeah.
And there's been one, if not two other counties who've expressed an interest but have not formalized anything.
Okay.
But Stark County has said they will be joining, so,
No, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, and there is, I do get copied on some news articles that from around the country as different entities, water entities are always looking at the Missouri River as one of their sources. So a lot of people have their eyes on the Missouri River. So I think the more we do educate people on the importance of the Missouri River to North Dakota, we still are laying the groundwork for potential future litigations where, no.
Very good.
We are.
Okay. Anything else this morning on that one?
Just a question, Michael, did they change the dues structure? Didn't we change the dues?
Yes.
structure?
Yes, with with the
Okay.
change of the bylaws, they did change the due structure. And I think there's something in your packet that this year's dues for Burleigh County are $2,000.
Right, and it's based
Yes.
on tax valuation
Yeah.
Yep.
for the county. So the smaller counties have the least membership due.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
the bills for this one.
And just as a background information, most joint boards have the ability to base, it's not a due structure, but it's based on the mill levy. They can go up to, 4 mills, I think, for a joint board, or is it 2?
2.
2 mills for a joint board, thank you, Dennis. But the way this board is set up, it's basically a volunteer scenario, so it's not an actual. And they are only assessing the amount that is necessary to cover what they have as a projected budget. So it gives them the opportunity to adjust that due structure to fund the activities that they're doing. The EAE, as you know, this board has contributed to EAE. Garrison Diversion has contributed to EAE. DWR has contributed to EAE, as has the Southwest Water Authority. So from a budget standpoint, that program is actually paid for independently of the joint board dues. And I think that's important when, Manager Jones pointed out about the separation. They are separate funds, a separate funding source for those.
Good.
Okay.
And Roger, I think you did get elected vice chairman?
I got elected vice chair, that's,
Okay.
Congratulations.
You really like that position.
Yep. Very good. Well, yeah, I mean, Wade and Greg and now Roger have been doing a good job of leading that group. It's a good board, so. Good. Okay. Anything else on Missouri River Joint Board?
nope.
Oh, okay. We got nothing on our new business this morning unless anybody's got anything to add there. If not, we can, you can receive additional information on any of the plats or stormwater management plans. Just check for your information. So we do receive different information from the county and from the city regarding plats and stormwater management plans around Burleigh County or Bismarck. So as we get those, she'll list them here in the agenda. But there's a lot of information there. We used to have it in the packet every month, and it would just really extend the packet. So if you want to see any of those, you can reach out to Wendy, and she can get that information to you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yep. Okay, we can move on to item 15 this morning, approval of the bills.
Mr. Chairman, board members, page 26 is the summary of the bills. A couple of noteworthy items maybe there. We have 2 separate bills associated with the Hogue Island bond development from Colliers and from Arnson Stewart Wagner in the amount of $7,500 each. So that's a little bit noteworthy. And then we have a $3,500 appraisal fee for McDowell Dam project.
Okay.
And as noted, the Missouri River Joint Board dues are in there amount of $2,000, so that's part of this month's bills, as are the North Dakota Water Resource District Association dues for $675. Math adds up. It also has our payroll for the last quarter of 2024 for board members in there as well. So math adds up. Everything looks in order. I'd move for approval, payment in the bill in the amount of $43,380.53.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve this month's bills in the amount of $43,380.53. You have something else to ask? Any questions?
I have a question. Dennis, do you have a copy of the appraisal on McDowell Dam that I could put in my file?
I did not get the copy of the actual appraisal, I don't think.
No, we have just a kind of a summary from Wade, didn't we?
We have 2 separate appraisals, and I can
Yeah.
get those to you.
If you would, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to put them in the file.
Yeah. But Wade provided was more of a summary, right?
No, he provided the 2 full appraisal copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was thinking of the email then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate that, Mike.
But, yeah, I'll get those out to you and then we can go through them for discussion. There's a lot of documentation in there, obviously, with the Yellow Book appraisal, so. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Wendy, take a roll call vote, please.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reed,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes, bills will be paid. Okay, remaining items in your packet there, just kind of details to the bills this month. At this point, our next scheduled board meeting is February 12th on Wednesday at 8 a.m. in this same room. We may have the executive session that time, we may schedule another date, but we'll certainly discuss and reach out and get that scheduled. And we do have to kind of advertise that one separately as well, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else this morning? If not, no other further business before the board, we are adjourned.